Hello everyone. Today is Sunday, August 17th, 2025 at 11:06 a.m. in the morning. So, hold up. Last night I did not get to sleep that great. Um so but I guess since the last video, um well, I knew I did the video late last night, but I didn't it completed uploading, I'm pretty sure sometime after midnight, So, but my anxiety is really, really high right now. Um and so bear with me. So, um like, oh wow, they're trying to force fart me, I think. But like I my anxiety was high, and it's like I didn't actually go to bed. Well, last night they had people nearby, like hotel neighbors making a lot of noise, and that might have been one of the things that kept me awake. And I mean, yeah, they were just making a lot of noise, you know, and they didn't stop the noise until like after 2:30 in the morning. And but a lot of times, I keep my well, I try to not have my earbuds in, to try to let my ears breathe, you know, because sometimes they will be like itchy and sweaty and try to get infected and stuff. So that's why I had my earbuds out, trying to let my ears breathe, you know. But after 2:30 this morning, that's when the noise pretty much stopped. And even when I put my earbuds in trying to block out the noise, like I think they were just talking loud, and I don't remember if they had loud TV or whatever, but I heard a lot of noise where I think they were talking really loud, you know. Excuse me, talking loud for hours. I'm wondering when they're gonna go to bed and shut up. But I tried whatever I could to not go and confront them, or find out who it was or what room they were in, or go knock on their door and take matters into my own hands or whatever. Um, and I didn't want any trouble. I didn't go downstairs and try to make complaints or nothing. You know, but I just stayed in my room. Well, I mean, after, like, everything was normal, but excuse me, the first night here, Friday, um, wait, yeah, Friday, everything was peaceful and quiet, but you know, last night it was pretty noisy, and I noticed the noise like, but when I went to go do laundry, and that was like 9 or 10 something last night. I think it was 9 something when I did the laundry, and I wish I could have got to wash this. But when I get off this video, I'm gonna get in the shower, I promise. I'm gonna take a shower and detox my teeth, and you know I'm going to push myself to try to trim my nails. But see, you know, excuse me, if I try to trim my toenails, I feel traumatized and afraid that, I don't want them to, be trying to squeeze my organs and stuff. And it's like, I would, now that I'm homeless and stuff, I can't really do the schedule that I usually do or that I've been doing. And my toenails have changed. Like, they become rotten and they grow thick. And I don't know, certain people say it's the aging, and other people think it might be fungus or something. But I don't know what to do to restore my toenails back to normal. And one of them, like a couple of the toenails, is like black and rotten, But but I feel really bad looking at my feet. Excuse me, my feet used to be not perfect or flawless, but they used to be very pretty and they used to look healthy. And it's been a long time since I got to feel what it's like for my feet to be soft. It's like they've been callous hard for the past few years. Excuse me, and I remember when I was in like second or third grade, and they had a van driver at the nursery or the daycare we used to go to. She was a very nice lady, and she used to drive like the kids in the van, and it was a big, huge gray Dodge Ram van years ago, but like back in the 90s before they started making the Ram trucks. And it was like a gray van with red seats, and I only got to ride in that van one time and on a field trip. And I remember Stevie Wonder's song "This Sweet Love" or something like that. Kids were singing it. But I had a strange mind growing up. But like that lady, Miss Sue, I think she was a nice person, but I feel really bad. Like certain things I said to people, I was a kid. I was a weird ass kid, I know. And I heard it, I was weird because as a result of the trauma and abuse that I went through. But I don't think the lady's feet were dirty. But, I feel like I'm the age I am now. I feel bad that I was like in second or third grade, and I was like, I said something about, oh, dirty, you got dirty, oh, look, she got dirty, rotten toenails. And she laughed, and it's like, dang, I was a little kid, and I don't know if the lady's dead or alive now, but looking back, and I'm like, wow, I hope I did. I feel really bad. Like, how did I affect that lady that day? Or did she go home hurt? Or did I make her feel bad? Like, oh, man. And, well, I mean, and now my toenails are rotten. I mean, excuse me, I was only an 8-year-old kid, 7 or 8-year-old kid, probably 8. Because she was doing it like the last year or two of the years that I went to the daycare, the nursery. But before then, it was the owner, Miss Brown, who was the Miss Brown. She was the van driver, and sometimes that lady T. Paula from the nursery, she used to be like the substitute van driver. T. Paula was the only like substitute van driver when Miss Brown wasn't driving the van. But sometimes they would have, like, it might have been like certain fake foster family members, dropping us off or picking us up from the nursery when we were little, the daycare. It was a daycare, but we used to call it the nursery, the learning tree. And the colors were the same colors as Gretna Junior High, green and yellow. Excuse me. But I miss certain things about the nursery, but I don't miss the abuse, that we went through. But yeah, but I don't even know, with me being 41, very much 42 years old in 8 more days. I mean, what could I do to restore my feet? For my toenails to grow back to normal, and for my feet to be soft and take the damage away. I know I would have to do a whole entire diet overhaul, but that's not possible with my homeless situation and my income. But but yeah, but you know, I feel bad thinking that that she go home that day feeling hurt. I feel like I wish I could have apologized to her. I was young and a little kid. I didn't know no better. But here I am. But and so I have to trim my super thick rotten toenails. You know, excuse me, and I try my best to keep my fingernails clean, and always washing my hands. With my OCD, like, you know, well, since I'm in a hotel that's mostly clean, I um didn't have to use that much rubbing alcohol. But if I gotta if I gotta be out in the streets and homeless and stuff, um I have to use like between 2 and 4 bottles per, four at the most in the worst, but most days on average, about 2 bottles a day. But I think that here in New Orleans, I've been using up and spraying the rubbing alcohol more than when I was in Pensacola. Excuse me, when I was in Pensacola, Florida, and being on the streets, homeless, whatever, sleeping on the streets and stuff, I would use like 1 to 2 bottles of the rubbing alcohol per day. But here in New Orleans, what's a bigger city, more likely to be dirty, and that's why it's like um more like 2 to 3 bottles. But on a worst day, it would be 4 if I'm being harassed bad enough by insects and stuff like that. Like pests, like flies, and you know. But with me freaking out and stuff, or if they got termites or whatever, or being around enough dirty people, or dirty people touching me, or me being forced to have to touch something dirty, you know. But my nails, they are. It's been like, I don't remember when the last time I trimmed my nails. Um, Being so depressed emotionally with the court and all that, you know. But I used to have a schedule with my nails, with a nail schedule that I would trim my fingernails first and 15th of every month. Even when I was a teenager, a kid, trim my fingernails on the 1st and 15th of every month, or approximately around that time. and trim the toenails on the first of the month. And, it seemed like I would have to trim my fingernails twice as much as the toenails, or they would grow twice as fast as the toenails. But that was when I was, younger and, more susceptible to keeping up with my hygiene and everything. So, like, how can the stalkers insult me about my hygiene when I'm suffering homelessness? If fake damnesia will harass me and talk about, oh, you should trim those nasty nails. If I got to be on the streets for 8 days, where can I trim my nails at? Or where can I brush my teeth at? Or where can I comb my hair at and stuff? And then he went to go and sneak under the fake Marshall Camus account and talk about, he tried to say, well, Candy admits that she never combs her hair and that she never brushes her teeth and she never does this and she never does that. But the stalkers have lied on me and said that I never shower. And that's not true. But they have put me in predicaments where I've been too depressed to comb my hair, or too depressed to trim my nails, or too depressed to brush my teeth because of severe depression from their harassment and stalking and abuse and just ruining my life and everything. But if I had nobody to mess with me and I had a decent living, I probably would not have a missing tooth, or I probably wouldn't have any tooth abscesses, or no warts, no this, no that. And if I could have been earning my own income, I'm mad at myself that I didn't think to be working on any novels in the year of 2017. But in 2006, after Hurricane Katrina, and I was in New York, I was handwriting, trying to, put novels like in the notebook or whatever, but I threw that away. I wrote like 5 or 6 chapters at least, but was gonna work on some more. But due to being homelessness and dealing with the harassment and sabotage and everything, I couldn't get to complete it. But same situation now, being held back big time. But even today, I noticed, I saw like the fake bad reviews from multiple stalkers on all my ebooks on Amazon. But you know what? I'm gonna keep writing anyway because they admit that their bad reviews is fake. So, and it's like they criticizing my writings, but they can't type, or they're not good writers themselves, and they're Satan worshipers. How can you tell me that I need something that I don't want? You're telling me I need to be controlled, but you're not God to make that decision. And these are sex trafficking, cyber harassing criminals, cyber sex trafficking, cyber criminals. And I'm supposed to value your opinion? Hell no. Satanic sex trafficking, cyber criminals. And they're proud of it. And then they, behind closed doors, they high-five each other and brag about their Satan worship. But in front of everybody, they try to falsely make me look bad, and lie and say that I'm the one with the black eyes, and that I'm the one that's demonic, and I'm this and I'm that, and I'm the one who ain't worshiping God properly enough for them or whatever. But if you can quote the Bible, why don't you follow it? If you trying to tell me, you trying to think you can correct how I act or try to make comments or be judgmental, but you're a proud Satan worshiper. You know. So, you know, my nails are so long that almost every letter that I type is a doggone mistake. So once I get these nails trimmed, you know, I could type better. But I think it has been longer than a month since I last trimmed my fingernails or toenails, and I don't remember the precise date. That's how long it's been. You know, I don't even know if it's been since June, or probably might have been in sometime July, but I know that was over 30 days ago. But some of my nails have been like trying to break off, fingernails, you know. But so the stalkers being like, oh, just like narcissistic abusers, you know, overly nitpicky and overly critical. Excuse me, but they want to talk about, ew, Candy, you know, she has crust on her face, or oh, she has a piece of food, or she has a booger hanging out of her nose, or she has food crust on the side of her mouth and stuff. But then behind closed doors, um they're emailing me sick stuff like women doing sexual satanic rituals with feces and blood. That's the type of stuff that they try to harass me with behind closed doors. You know, when you want to pretend that you're good and point out that Candy's this bad and Candy's this filthy, but then behind closed doors, they're harassing me with sexually perverse, shocking, you know, stuff that I don't even think about every day. Even with my unwanted, intrusive thoughts, I don't even think about, you know. These stalkers are sick enough to, you know, the type of stuff that they would email me and harass me with, you know, they would be the type to do stuff like send me pictures of, you know, a woman straddling a dead puppy or something. That's the type of sick stuff that they excuse me, they make my nose itch. That's the type of sick stuff, you know, that they harass me with, you know, or they would send me stuff filthy enough of, you know, like, what do they call that? Dang, bestiality and stuff like that. But y'all call me crazy and mentally ill. But you know, that's the type of filthy stuff that they try to shock me with. And they want to be as filthy and mind-boggling offensive as possible. Like forced unwanted contact, and they keep just harassing and stalking. And then they try to make themselves more righteous than me and been trying to manipulate for me to feel ashamed and feel like a bad person. And you know, and the fake Angie Peterson Leeling perp, she's sick-minded too. She also had been sending me harassing and filthy, disgusting, nasty emails and stuff, you know, with filthy, nasty pictures that, you know, if I reposted the pictures and was like, look at the sexual, filthy stuff, that my YouTube channel would get wrongfully shut down. You know, excuse me. So I couldn't even repost the stuff that's so filthy and highly offensive and disgusting. You know, but like yesterday I saw them making fake harassing comments, you know, talking about that, oh, Candy is obsessed with money and food. Or they'll say stuff like, well, she's she talks all her business 24/7. And we have a right to comment on it because she puts her business out there 24/7 and she never shuts up. No, when I'm off camera or not videoing or live streaming, you bastards be Googling me like 800 times a day, or YouTube searching me and scrounging around for what flaws you think is in my life. They're making comments and harassing me and stalking me, and they think that they're entitled to force themselves into my world. Like, if you don't like me, why are you trying to force yourself into my life? You're the weirdo. I mean, these stalkers, the stuff they do behind closed doors, they need to be locked up in prison like forever. And they're the ones who seem like there's no hope for rehabilitation for them. They are the ones who are turned over to a reprobate mind, but they know exactly what the fuck they're doing. And they want to be self-righteous, talking about Candy's not a Christian because she curses. You trigger my Tourette's and stalk and harass and keep messing with me for no doggone reason. Excuse me. If I haven't heard about you for months, it's like, and they force themselves to subscribe. And then they have, like, on social media, they have warnings about people who will send you a friend request, or they will subscribe to you or follow you, or send you a follow request, not because they want to be your buddy, but it's for illegal surveillance purposes. So, and I hate all these fake secret double agents, fake TI perps playing both sides. As I said, you claim you're a target, but everything you do, you act like a perp. But then you steal other targeted people's stories, and then make it like your own. Or you just create your own fake fiction and then call it reality. So, excuse me, and the fake Damnesia, who's the same perp as Marshall Camus and Joseph Camus, and you're stealing identities of dead people. I looked up Joseph Camus and I looked up Marshall Camus, and those are names of dead people who are deceased. And I dug deep and hard searching for Marcel Thibodeau. That's the name of I think that was the name of like Marcel Thibodeau, because fake Damnesia, fake Darnell Williams, he would go by Marcel Thibodeau, Joseph Camus, Marshall Camus, Seal Hader, and I forgot what other fake names. But one person with multiple fake identities, but none of them is his real name. And I hope that God will reveal to me his real face and real name. And Angie Peterson might be using a fake name and fake identity also. Like she goes by Mrs. Gillicuddy and certain other fake names. But sometimes by their patterns of, I don't like that word behavior, but their patterns of behavior sometimes most of the times I know who's who but with their fake accounts, and other people might have their fake accounts making fake harassing comments, and I'm scratching my head and cannot figure out who they are, you know. But if they have people who I don't even think about or talk about on a daily basis, and if I'm not bothering you, like, what are you doing stalking my every move and making comments? And even if, you know, and it's not true that I put all my business out there, you bastards, y'all be hunting for what information you can know about me so that you can weaponize it against me. You know, y'all be hunting. Like when I had that actual GoFundMe, they would be I wasn't even getting daily donations, not even weekly donations. And you know, my Go Get funding, it's been a while since I had any donations from there. But with the Go Get funding anyway, Go Get funding and GoFundMe, they take out way more money. You know, I seldom get tips and donations from my Ko-fi short stories, from my Ko-fi, my Ko-fi, and other people are starting to put up buy me a coffee. But I couldn't have the buy me a coffee account because they were stalking, harassing, and threatening me, and making threats at me on buy me a coffee. And when I try to tell the manager, the webmasters or managers or owners or whatever, they ignored me and mocked and laughed at me. So I shut down the buy me a coffee account, and that's when I got the Ko-fi. And so with the Ko-fi, then they're not allowed to harass me. They're not allowed to they can't make fake harassing comments. And the same thing with the what's that? The Go Get funding. I set it up to where they can't make fake harassing comments. On my blog, I put it to where they can't make fake harassing comments. But so but yeah, so they can't make their fake harassing comments, like, but I mean, I wish that I would have been able to receive like honest comments and reviews from supportive people, and the stalkers ruined the search engine optimization on my blog on purpose, to where they try to tell everybody else don't read her blog, but while they stalk and read everything, so for them to stalk and follow and harass and and they get, for fake Damnesia to always brag about how he works 2 or 3 jobs or always working. He hide under that fake Marshall Camus or Joseph Camus account. And, it's like he hides behind the identities of either dead people or convicted pedophiles. So someone, I forgot his first name, but the middle name is Marcel and the last name is Thibodeau, of this person that was supposedly maybe from the New Orleans metro area, and was a convicted pedophile. Excuse me, but fake Damnesia, he admitted that he performed a satanic ritual to make a fake identity of, to be called, Marcel Thibodeau or something like that, because Thibodeau is one of the Cajun French kind of names, But he even then later on he admitted that Marcel Thibodeau was another fake name. But a lot of times, fake Damnesia, fake Darnell Williams, he tried to tell me that his real name is Marcel Thibodeau. But I doubt that he will ever reveal his real face or name. And the same thing with a lot of these fake perp agents, But at least Starbricker, we know her. All you got to do is Google her name. And yeah, I was able to see her real face and name. But and certain other stalkers. But a lot of these stalkers, they hide behind their cyber crimes. And like the fake Stephon Adams perp, he admitted that that's a fake picture and a fake name. He admitted that. So I don't know who he truly is. And then and so I mean he I don't know who he truly is. And Stephon, the fake Stephon Adams perp, he tried to talk about that he earns $180,000 a year as a junior handler, and that he wants to work his way up to $360,000 a year and be a senior handler. Nah, motherfucker, you ain't no handler. You just a damn perp. You don't get to control anyone. And he's a proud Satan worshiper also. They stalk, harass, and mess with you unprovoked for no reason, and you're not even thinking about them. But they're freaking obsessed. But then they lie and say that they lie and say that my books are boring, or that my books are horribly written, or that excuse me, or that my videos suck, or they just look for fake excuses to hate everything about my living, existing, and breathing. Hold up. So yeah, I just received a couple of emails, useless emails, but anyway, yeah, I just exited out of them. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, sleepiness is starting to kick in again. So it was sunny earlier, but I don't know if the sun is still out. But excuse me, if I could have had an extra bit of cash, here I realized last night that they got this pay system that I think you hook it up to the Bluetooth or scan your phone and it connect to the washers and dryers. But I didn't want to do that. I would have rather used the coins and the cash. But they supposedly got rain chances or scattered thunderstorms or something today. I don't know what time today it's supposed to rain though, but I really didn't. I don't recall having rain alerts yesterday, but I think it did rain a little bit yesterday. But dang, if I could have got to stay here an extra day, I would have liked to go swimming. But I'm not going swimming today. I wish, but yeah, like, so, but the in the middle of the night, it probably was like before 4 o'clock that I dozed off and fell asleep, and then I might have woke up at 6 o'clock, but um I think I woke up at 7 something, and I don't remember. And then I fought for a long time, struggling to force myself out of bed. Excuse me, struggling to force myself out of bed, and then finally got out of bed at about 8:30 and went down to breakfast at like 8:40. And so this morning for breakfast I had oatmeal. The oatmeal was not that hot, and it was very, very watery, you know. And and they have this fake butter called Smart Balance that seemed like it was like a vegan kind of fake butter, you know. I don't like it. But that was the only so-called kind of butter that they had. But I need they need to call it dumb balance. Excuse me, dumb imbalance. And so when I put a little bit of that, and well, the peanut butter that I put inside the oatmeal, it thickened it up, you know, but it wasn't that hot like it was. Like, the oatmeal was perfect yesterday. It was really great. But whoever did the oatmeal today, like, what's wrong with you? But so I had the oatmeal with, I think I accidentally put too much cinnamon. So I had oatmeal with cinnamon and Smart Balance and the raw sugar and some peanut butter in it. And I had the apple juice was way too sweet, and so I tried to add some ice and water, you know, and I had a little more extra bottled water. And I had two smaller, you know, patties of spicy, like spicy sausage patties, and it was two, and I had some eggs that I tried to make it equivalent to like 2 or 3 eggs, you know, scrambled eggs, and I tried to, you know, try to estimate. I think it was probably the equivalent of 2 eggs. I tried, you know, and I put a little ketchup on there, and that same perp from yesterday, he was wearing blue, and today he was perping with a red. And you know, I was in the middle of grabbing items and fixing my food and stuff, and he came into the little I'm gonna call it the little kitchen closet, you know, and where we get our food or whatever. And it's like he came in there and manipulated for me to feel like I was in his way, and manipulated for me to feel rushed, and I couldn't even concentrate or get food the way I wanted it, or get exactly what I wanted or how I wanted it, you know. And then he came as, you know, yeah, he didn't tell me anything, but excuse me, he was perping with the red, and you know, he made sure to come down to breakfast right after I did, you know. And then they had another man was perping with the red shirt and gray shorts, but he didn't act like he bothered me. But I saw your ass. But there was another perp that was had like on black clothes, but perping with a red hat with a little bit of, I don't know if it was navy blue or black, and he sat in the same spot as the perp from yesterday, which was the perp that bothered me in a little kitchen closet today. Excuse me. And this younger perping with the red hat, he sat exactly across from me, And when I went to look up who that is sitting across from me, he gave me the hate, anger look, like as if I'm forbidden to look, and try to frighten, scare, bully, and intimidate me. Well, if you don't want no one looking at you, I mean, I was not that I was looking or staring at nobody, but the moment that you just minding your business and eating, and somebody come and you see from the corner of your eye, and then you look at who that is, like that. Then the moment I went to look at who that is, that came and sat right across from me, then he had his face twisted up, like like he was trying to intimidate or threaten me. Excuse me. And this is how they do when they want to give you the hate, anger, like they strategic. And like I first noticed it like probably before I left Denton, Texas, but they really started doing it in Los Angeles big time, and I can't believe they do that here in New Orleans. For people to give me the hate, anger look, like as if I'm forbidden to look, and then frighten, scare, bully, and intimidate me. Like, if you do stuff like sit directly parallel across from me, and I'm already sitting there, like, say, for example, okay, if I'm riding the transit bus in Los Angeles, and one time they had this underage white girl, we were on a 720, 720 bus in Los Angeles, riding the metro, and of all the doggone, and it was one of those long buses, like the 60-foot buses, one of those long buses, very long buses that when it makes a left or a right turn, like the first half of the bus, like the bus will swerve around in circles or whatever, or it'll be like wishy-washy, but like the bus will like bend like in the middle when it makes a right or left turn. But so of all the extra doggone seats, you come and sit right across from me, and then you sitting there like repeatedly giving me threatening looks, and I'm sitting here not looking at you, but you directly across from me, and I'm sitting here looking up past you, like I'm looking behind you, so I'm looking at the buildings to see how far along I have before I get off at my stop. And if you think someone is looking at you, you go sit somewhere else. I'm like been riding for like over 30 minutes, and your ass just come on. I got my like 10 more minutes to ride, and before I get off at my stop. If I've been on here way longer than you, and you come sit by me, and there was a group of kids with an adult coach that came, and they would do stuff like in Los Angeles when the buses will be crowded, and they would stand directly in front of you and hold on to the pole and like basically standing in between your legs. And if you look up at them wondering like, why are you standing so close to me? They got more space over there. I'm thinking that in my head, and they just have their or they would deliberately, the men would do stuff like act like as if they're when you got space down there, back there on the bus, and you come and stand directly in front of me when the bus is kind of crowded, but they still got some space. Go back there. And then he would, whatever guy would, they would do this on the trains too, and stand like, if I'm sitting on a seat where like right next to me is a pole that you hang on to, like, to prevent you from falling if you, or if they have those handle things, like at the top they got the racks or whatever, and then you have the thing you hold on to if you're standing up, if the bus is too crowded or whatever. And excuse me, it seemed like as if they would deliberately put their groin in my face, and then giving me threatening looks like they want to punch the fuck out of me with vicious hate, anger. Like, you go back somewhere. Why the hell you stand in front of me and act like you want to deliberately put your groin in my face on purpose? you know, or, why don't you turn sideways or something? Or go stand further back. And what they would do is, they would have, like, in Los Angeles, and I've seen it here in in New Orleans, like, back then, pre-Katrina, they used to have more people riding the transit buses and stuff. But I guess you see less buses are less crowded because of the Uber and all that now, Uber and Lyft and stuff, but for the Jefferson transit buses, like, you don't really see people most of the time. You don't really see people standing up on the bus no more like they used to before Katrina. And the same thing in New Orleans, a lot of the routes. But some routes, like the Broad bus or something like that, oh yeah, that would be crowded and people would be standing up and stuff, The route number 9. Buses like that, or probably those buses that go out in the east, those buses. But well, the Broad bus is one of the buses that go out in the east. But like so what they would do is, like, if you're on a bus and the bus is crowded, and people are standing up, and they would have lots of empty seats in the back. And I'm trying to remember what other cities and states I had to experience this in. If they have lots of empty seats in the back, and then all the seats in the front are full, and then most of the back of the bus is empty, and then people start standing up and crowding around by the back door, or they crowd up in the front or the back door, and then, like, they refuse to move out of your way or refuse to let you go and get you a seat in the back of the bus, and then they ignore the bus driver when the bus starts to get more and more crowded, and the bus driver would say, move to the back, and they don't listen, but the back of the bus be damn near empty, and they don't let you go get a seat in the back of the bus and pretend like the bus is so freaking crowded, Yeah, but in Denton, Texas, transportation is horrible. It sucks. Even the taxi cabs, it's really sad. You definitely need your own car. And I thought, well, it's beautiful that, oh wow, you could ride the bus every day, and you don't have to worry about, the buses being crowded, or the people, have the bus being crowded enough that people have to stand up, But pre-Katrina, before Hurricane Katrina, Orleans Parish and Jefferson Parish buses were always crowded, But I'll tell you this now. It's 2025, and a lot of people say that, the New Orleans buses are unreliable. And for you to ride a certain bus and Friday, no, it wasn't Friday, it was Thursday. Thursday I checked out of the hotel and then went to go stand at the bus stop, and the bus didn't come, but they had another bus on the other side of the street. And this is the second time I experienced this for that route. And, a lot of people are saying that sometimes they don't have a driver, or the driver won't show up, or the driver is not doing their job. Like, if I took one of the Algiers buses from the terminal, the Gretna terminal, and they wouldn't even turn all the way in the terminal like they're supposed to late at night with their last stop. I'm sorry, not their last. I mean, I guess it's their last route to go across the river or something. And it's like, well, hey, I needed that bus to go across the river if it's 11 o'clock at night, because the Jefferson Transit buses, they stopped running like um I'll say about what the last buses, it leaves Loyola, and the last Lapalco will leave Loyola in Tulane downtown at 9:23 at night, and then go on the West Bank one last time. So basically about 9 o'clock at night is the last time the bus will be like at the Wilty terminal in Gretna to go across the river to go to Loyola and Tulane. And so yeah, about 9 o'clock, will be the between 8:45 and 9 o'clock. No, not 8:45, more like 8:55 and 9 o'clock. So 11 o'clock. Sometimes the Algiers buses are still running if you're still on the West Bank, and then you wondering like why the bus didn't turn in the terminal and go to their stop. Oh no, they just turn on the outskirts of the terminal and drop people off. And then I'm like, but wait a minute, even if you got more routes to run, like, so like that happened to me like a, that the night of the movie night. I mean, the night that I went to the movies, that was weird as hell. They really changed up the movie theaters. But as I said, I only accepted it because YouTube offered it to me. You know, um, but otherwise, I stay the hell away from the movies. I don't even watch TV. Like, they have a TV right there, and I did not touch it. I did not think about it. My entertainment, well, my phone. My phone is all I got. I don't want to watch no TV. You know, and I've been that way for decades. You know, but yeah, yeah. I'm in a little bit of pain right now. Um, my hips hurting. My hips are hurting a little bit, and that's another thing hindering me or holding me back from trimming my nails, like my toenails, more like. But I would feel awkward to have my toenails trimmed and not the fingernails, or vice versa. Maybe it's an OCD thing, or it might be a so-called autism spectrum thing. Um, you know, but yeah, I wish I could take a nap, but it won't be much longer before I have to get out of here. So, I mean, as I said, after I get out of here, I don't know how long it would take for me to receive the incidentals back. But, um, and I'm gonna go to the library, might as well. But, yeah, I guess I'll try to just go to the library and let y'all know. Um, and I wish that I could stick around after hours, stick around like for an hour or two and live stream and talk to y'all and stuff. But y'all see what the stalkers be doing. And the stalkers still have the false narrative to lie and say that I was not supposed to be at the library. But there's some out-of-state trolls, and they don't have a say-so. They don't have the power. They don't have authority or nothing like that. And last night I did a regular video talking about the OCD and the gang stalking and remote neural monitoring and stuff like that. I don't know if y'all were able to watch it. And then I also uploaded a video last night. I screen recorded the 2 clips of the live streams where I was illegally swatted this year, and it resulted in me being wrongfully arrested and thrown in jail. And to see everything, yeah. The body cam footage, I can't afford the price for the body cam footage, But when the video shut off because when the officers wrongfully threw my phone, and it's not about me resisting arrest. They instill fear and rushing towards me, and I'm scared and confused and wondering what the hell is going on. And when people prank calling the police and lying on you and thinking it's funny, and then bragging and admitting that they lied on you, So even with my letters from the librarians saying that yes, I am allowed to be at the library after they close, and the stalkers still lie to people and push that false narrative that that I was trespassing and wasn't supposed to be there. And if so, it's not your freaking business. Like, you're out of state, you don't even know me, and just because I put it online still don't make it your business. You're maliciously stalking and harassing, and you're the one with the sense of entitlement. For you to outright claim, "Don't forget we own you," you're fucking out of your mind, and you're insane. You're sick and crazy. Now I don't even know who the fuck you are. You're sick and weird. That I don't know you and you don't know me, and you think you're entitled to stalk and harass and try to control someone you don't like or who doesn't even know you. You work for Satan, but think you can serve the Bible better than me. I mean, think that you can tell someone how they should follow the Bible. I'm frustrated as hell. But as I said, with my supporter subscribers, today makes like a whole 7 days, like a whole week since I got to live stream. It's been a whole week. So it's been a whole week since I got the live stream, and I miss my supporter subscribers. I miss chit chatting and talking to y'all, whatever. But I'm glad to have some time to get to take a break and rest from the intense harassment. Excuse me. And fake Damnesia pretending to be Marshall Camus would brag about working so many jobs, but then he would talk about he would brag and admit that he stays up for 2 weeks at a time and takes drugs he brag and admit that he takes drugs to stay up 2 or 3 weeks at a time to stalk and watch my every move and stalk and watch everything I do. You know. But yeah. So how are you working on having any job if you know my every move? I mean, if you look, I know I posted quite a, like, so I posted 2 of regular videos of me talking yesterday, and like one yesterday, probably um earlier in the morning, not early in the morning, but in the later in the morning or earlier in the afternoon, I don't remember. And then another video late last night, and then I showed, I put it in the screen recorded live streams and put it into regular video on YouTube from both times when I was illegally swatted this year and wrongfully arrested and thrown in jail. And it's like 3 minutes and 30 something, 3 minutes and 37 or 38, 3 minutes and 37 seconds. You know, I didn't mean for it to be that time, that length, but you know, excuse me, it just so happened to be that length of time of the video, you know. And then I shared a video about a sheriff in Florida that that takes illegal swatting, that he takes it seriously. And a lot of people saying that if you illegally swat someone, you should, it's a felony and you should go to prison for like between 5 and 20 years. I heard some people have been sentenced to like 40 years or even more. But fake Damnesia deserves life in prison for what he has done to me. And everything's funny until he get locked up. And if all the freedom, all his freedom is stripped from him, I bet you he wouldn't be able to handle it. And from all the trolls and stalkers, like for their laughs and hee and giggling and turn into frowns. So they're so busy with being self-righteous and hypocritical and nitpicking and pointing out what they think you're doing wrong to cover up the dirty shit that they be doing for real behind closed doors, that they be trying to hide. If fake Damnesia himself is, I mean, you got to be a pedophile to even think and make jokes about, you know, bragging about doing satanic sexual rituals on kids. Wow. Right when I said that, that was the voice of a child, a baby. Excuse me, but for him to brag about those are perps. For him to brag about that he's doing a satanic ritual on a child, and then talking about, oh God, it's so tight. You know, for him to brag about doing satanic sexual rituals on kids and talking about, oh God, it's so tight. And he threatened to illegally swat me at hotels. But I think getting me wrongfully banned, that's a version or a form of swatting. When they illegally prank called, you know, this past Monday after I got back from court, they prank called the hotel, illegally found out what hotel I was at and prank called the hotel, and then lied and said I had bed bugs, and I almost got wrongfully kicked wrongfully kicked out. And it's like, damn, I had just ordered my food on, I don't remember if it was Uber Eats. I think it was Uber Eats, not DoorDash. But it was either Uber Eats or DoorDash. I think it was Uber Eats. That I'm like, wow, I just ordered my food. You know. So oh man. So I mean, the stalkers illegally swat me and then make a false narrative that I really am truly a criminal that's out on bond. And then they're like, oh, I hope the police bust her face in. Oh, I hope the police do shoot her up. Oh, maybe that'll teach her a lesson because she don't know how to keep her fucking mouth shut. Or she don't, you know. And their whole, like, even other targeted individuals say this gang stalking gotta be a damn, some kind of weird ass cult. And they are. Gang stalking mind control cults.com, I think it's a website exposing, you know, the gang stalking being a cult and stuff, you know. But I don't agree with everything they say on the website, but, you know, but a lot of stuff, you know, is factual. But I hate these fake TI, some of these fake TI perp disinformation websites, you know. And they handpick who to help, you know. Oh man, my hips are starting to hurt worse and worse. Excuse me. So yeah, I wish I could chat with y'all with the live stream this evening, even though I'm legally allowed to, but I'm just, you know, trying to save the trouble with, you know, dealing with being illegally swatted and stuff, you know. And who knows what they're gonna try it with it being like today is 8 days until me and my twin sister's birthday, and who knows what crazy shit they're gonna try this coming week. And they're already trying to find ways to prevent me from going on a trip. It's just a 1 day trip for me to just be gone 1 day and then come back. Gone the day before our birthday, which is Wyatt's death anniversary, you know, and then come back and on our birthday. And as I said, I don't know what to do that day, you know. So like on our birthday, I'm supposed to be back in town like you know, after 10 o'clock in the morning, you know. But I'm not asking for too much for me and my twin sister's birthday, you know. On that day, I just hope to have a hotel room off the streets for that night, and to have peace and quiet, you know. I'm not even, you know, I don't party, I don't drink, I don't go to the movies really. Just that one time last month because YouTube offered it to me, you know. But I don't party, I don't drink, I don't go to the movies. You know, I just simply even if I could just get a hotel room that night, and you know, I don't have to eat fancy, I don't have to eat extravagant, you know. I just for a birthday wish, I just want just peace and quiet. But there are places where on or around me and my twin sister's birthday, you know, I signed up for certain places that, give birthday freebies, you know, um, either birthday freebies or birthday discounts. I don't think I can, try to take advantage of all of them. Last year for our birthday, excuse me, my twin sister and the other stalking cult members were trying to, they failed at trying to blood sacrifice me. So they got my brother Wyatt, and that shocked me. And even though I wasn't on good terms with any of the family, including Wyatt, like I still can't. It's like almost a year, and I still can't wrap. I still can't wrap my head around, that was supposed to be me, or their plan was to be me, and they're still trying. So, my twin sister was trying to narcissistically hoover me back in and trying to love bomb and butter me up, and and then for them to harass me and threaten me all summer and mock and laugh about me being blood sacrificed. And then if Wyatt was part of their cult, the family cult of gang stalking, of the family, and then he turned up dead, and some people say that, well, maybe Wyatt wanted out, or maybe Wyatt knew too much, or maybe Wyatt had a change of heart or something like that. Or, excuse me. And to find out the news, it didn't feel real, and I was hearing so many mixed messages. Like I like hearing like mixed messages, and just so many people being messy and creating so much trouble, which resulted in me being wrongfully banned from Wyatt's funeral. I could never get that back. I grew up with Wyatt. Mark, you fucked up for that. I could never get that back. And nobody in the family talks about Mark being stubborn. Other family members are said to be stubborn, but what about Mark being stubborn? You are not the fucking parent that you didn't have the authority to ban me from the damn funeral. I'm family too. And Mark will never feel any remorse or apologize. And my twin sister won't have any remorse or apologize. None of the rest of the family will feel remorse or apologize. But yet they expect a fake fucking in-law to bully me and abuse me and to demand psychopathically demand demand an apology for shit that ain't her business. And she didn't even know all the freaking facts. She didn't know the truth. None of them know the truth. They refuse to even listen and be receptive and believe the truth. And then you're an in-law. I don't fucking know you. I hadn't had any contact with you. And you brag and admit that you stalk all my social media and my blogs and everything and my books. Yeah, you also don't have any authority over me. You're married to a brother that's younger than me. My family, their heart is hardened. They have like no respect. No fucking respect. And no ounce of love, no care, no compassion, nothing. Just stone cold. And I will never get the whole family, y'all all owe me an apology that I'll never fucking get. I will end up going to my grave and dying and never hearing a fucking apology from none of y'all. Y'all hate me and got a certain opinion about me and and never gave yourselves a chance to get to know the real Candy Grandpre. And even family members generations lower and younger than me think they got the fake authority to punish me behind fucking lies and made up shit. But, those same family members, there's always fake family rumors just swirling around. So next Sunday, a week from now, will be 1 year since Wyatt. I really think Wyatt was set up and murdered. This shit is wild. And they was trying to sacrifice me and trying to set me up. And then for my twin sister to lie on me and make me look bad. And then in that live stream, where she tried to put me out to look stupid in the live stream and perping me for almost 5 whole freaking hours. Perping and gaslighting and playing psychological games and narcissistically abusing me for 4.5 to 5 hours. Oh, she cowardly made that video private because she knew she's freaking wrong and got something to hide. In that live stream, she covertly admitted that, she's blood sacrificed Wyatt and then tried to justify it by lying and saying that he was the one who set her up to get the kids taken away, when she gives 0 fucks about the damn kids. And she didn't have much remorse or feeling too bad to find out that her kids that are all now adults, that they don't want shit to do with her anymore. But her lies is the reason why the family don't want shit to do with me no more. But they had a disgraceful, blasphemous funeral for Wyatt. If Wyatt was alive, I know that he would not freaking approve of females dressing up as men and being power bearers at his fucking funeral. But even though Monica dressed and acted like a female, but her being a pallbearer, like, they got Raymond, Derek, Josh, the biological cousin dude, what other dudes in the family, why did they have females carrying my brother's casket? Like, what the hell? My twin sister freaking did a satanic ritual where she dressed up as a man. Even, where was Josh or anybody else, carrying my brother to be buried? Josh was supposedly there. I saw pictures. Lil Randy, what about Lil Randy or whoever in the family, the men in the family? Pete is part of the fake Jehovah's Witnesses cult, and I think he doesn't go to funerals, But I don't know if the fake Jehovah's Witness cult, how did they deal with funerals? I don't know. But Pete never goes to funerals, But I have a right to speak my voice and say my piece. I have a right for the truth in my voice to be heard. When I was live streaming in that motel that I'm wrongfully banned from now, I was live streaming at that motel, and my subscribers had encouraged me to go to the Airbnb, and I felt like scared to go, and I even, because I didn't know what to expect, And they encouraged me to, go pay your respects to your brother, go honor your brother, whatever, And I had no idea what I was in for. Excuse me. And I had no idea what I was in for, and I thought it was just my twin sister was mad at me, and Drunk Lady Yvonne, I didn't understand why she was acting the way she was acting. And then my nephew Raymond, I didn't understand why he was acting the way he was acting, the way they were acting in 2023. Why their family would, if I saw certain family members and they were acting weird. And I didn't realize until after Wyatt's funeral, I saw videos of Wyatt when he was alive in 2023. Like it was 2024 after Wyatt's funeral. Like maybe a week or two. It wasn't until October of last year that I saw videos from 2023 of Wyatt, teaming up with my twin sister to spread lies on me about Blake and keep repeatedly switching the story, And I had no idea why my aunt treated me the way she treated me. I thought she was still grudging against me from the small little petty argument in 2018. But come to find out, I didn't realize that Raymond and the biological aunt, Drunk Lady Yvonne, that they treated me the way they treated me because my twin sister and Wyatt teamed up together to lie on me and say that I said that I was glad that my cousin Blake got shot and killed. And they turned Blake into a perp, but Blake, I haven't even been around Blake enough for him to do me stuff that's so horrible. Enough for me to hate him like that. If I would have felt like I'm glad that, if I would have felt like I'm glad that Blake was dead, why would I go to his funeral? Because it's like, why would I go to Blake's funeral if I would have felt like, good, I'm glad he's dead? And then family rumors lying and saying that I set Blake up to get shot and killed. Like, what kind of bizarre gang stalking shit is this? I never in my entire life set anything up to happen to anyone, ever. I never even thought of to plot on or set nobody up, ever. Stuff like that doesn't even cross my mind to do things like that or even think things like that. So, so basically, my twin sister's lies alone is the reason why the rest of the family hate me and don't fuck with me. And she got like trillions and trillions and gazillions of freaking lies on me. So many lies that it's freaking ridiculous and I can't even keep up with them. And she lie, manipulate, and switch her story around so freaking much. And then falsely paint me as the narcissist. And my story has been consistent and never changed all these years. When she has a new lie to create on me every time we get into an argument. From the lies about the molestation, and then you laugh and mock about it. You laugh at and mock me about it. You create your own lie and then get people to hate me and go against me and then mock, and you got something to mock and laugh at. If she's been secretly making these lies behind my back and then 20 years later or something, they come to the surface. So then she lied on me and said that I said that I just wanted to go to Blake's funeral to make sure he was dead. And the biological mom, Frances, when she was alive, she used to make those kinds of false rumors about family members too. So, I never been that type of person to set people up, and if I felt like I hated someone to the point of wanting them dead, I would not go to your fucking funeral. I would not even go visit your grave site. I wouldn't take the time out and bust ass and fight tooth and nail to go and do that. You know. So when Blake got shot and killed, after I got back to Greenville, South Carolina, that apartment the Section 8 home I was living in, excuse me, I was talking on the phone with my twin sister, and she made it like family members were saying, that, she tried to tell me people in the family were saying that, Candy said, the family members were saying that you looked over Blake's casket and said, good, I'm glad he's dead. And then she acted like she didn't want to tell me which family member. Now, keep in mind, Wyatt didn't even do social media. And other family members, I thought they all had her blocked, or she had them blocked, or wasn't in contact with them and was only in contact. And she was banned from the family at that time. When I was, it was after Blake's funeral and later that night at the repast. It was after the repast, and we all gathered by drunk lady Yvonne's house, because that was her son, my cousin, and so I'm trying not to cry. And so I'm trying not to cry. And what she said, but that night, Wyatt, Raymond, Ramona, and Mark were all huddling together and talking about how they glad that my twin sister was not down in New Orleans, and because of when my twin sister and Mark had an all-out fist fight. And I don't know who did what, but my twin sister and Mark, they're both compulsive liars. If my twin sister said Mark beat her up and bloodied her face up, and then he got arrested and thrown in jail for assault, and he didn't have to do time in prison, and then he tried to make it like she bloodied her own face up. And Mark was mad that he had to do, and this was in 2015, they had a fight. Now in 2013, I think 2013 or 14, my twin sister and Wyatt had a physical fight. And she pulled a gun out on him and lied about the story so many times and switched up her story so many times. And she tried to say that she nearly shot and killed Wyatt because they were arguing, and he tried to say, I don't believe you or Candy were raped. So for him to say, I don't believe you or Candy were raped. And then she said she put a gun out on him, and she almost went to prison for that. And then I was living in Los Angeles at the time, and she lied and switched up her story so many times. First, she admitted that the gun was real and loaded, and she was about to blow his brains out. Then she switched her story to lie and say it was a toy gun. Then she lied and said that, it was real, but it had no bullets. Or then she tried to say, the gun was real, but the gun, that the gun had jammed or something like that. And then later on admitted that the gun, then she went back to lying and saying the gun was fake or a toy or whatever. And then she went back to admitting that, the gun was loaded with bullets and she was about to boom, But then that was in like 2000, 13 or 14, one of those years, and I was living in Los Angeles. And then 2015, David Jane contacted me and told me from Facebook, he told me about that my twin sister got into a fight with my brothers. Now, my twin sister would put Mark and Wyatt on a damn pedestal because of the color of their skin, and put Derek on a pedestal because of the color of their eyes and because they look so much alike. I mean, the color of Derek's eyes and because they look so much alike. Well, the biological mom, Frances, had light eyes, but she didn't get any respect. You know, so, but then it's like, so I thought my twin sister got into a fight with Wyatt again. Come to find out, I was shocked that it was Mark. And that Mark went to jail, for fighting my twin sister or whatever, Now, my twin sister tried to say that she just straight up told Mark to his face, "You are a narcissist," and then he went off on her, and that a friend of the family held her down and sat there and let Mark beat on her. And then Mark said that he fought my twin sister. He said, "Man, because she called herself trying to manhandle me." But like in 2013 or 14, when Wyatt had the fight with my twin sister, he's like, "Oh," he was laughing on the phone, like, "Oh, a hardcore dyke," and stuff like that, that my twin sister supposedly put her hands on him or something like that, trying to fight him. But my twin sister is always the one that throw the first lick and put her hands on you, and other family members too, try to think they can use the humiliating violence to punish, control, and keep you in line, But yeah, excuse me, make my nose itch. So I think my twin sister made that shit up when that morning after she told me the news about Blake's death, and then me and her got into an argument because I told her that she was on the phone wasting 3 hours of saying nothing and just ignoring me and putting me on hold and stuff. And I'm like, well, I have a limit of minutes on my phone. And then she's like, "Our cousin just died, and she's like, "Oh, our cousin just died, and all you care about is minutes on your phone?" I'm like, well, how am I going to get the minutes to communicate with anybody? If you're just idly wasting 3 hours. And she's yelling at me, saying, "I'm coming." She was trying to make it like she was responding to Facebook comments. They're making my nose itch. She tried to make it like she was, but all she had to do was like say, "Well, Candy, I understand you got minutes on your phone. Can I call you back while I respond to these, hate comments on Facebook or whatever?" And then we could just talk later, But oh no, she just wanted to waste my time. Like, she used to do stuff like let herself be distracted with phone conversations, and then have, even before China or whatever, years ago, whatever girlfriend she had, she would waste my time and leave me on hold for like 3 hours and stuff, play those kinds of games. Or if me and her having a conversation, she would force the girlfriend to hear our conversations. Me and my twin sister could never have phone conversations in private because she wanted to constantly give fake proof of how crazy Candy is, So, I'm like, well, you're eating up my phone minutes, just idly wasting time and putting me on hold and leaving me in the background. I'm like, well, I'm going to have to go. And then she went off on me, and then me and her got into an argument. And then I lost a fake Christian friend that day. Her name was Jenna Eisenberg. And from Seal Beach. I met her at Seal Beach in California, and after I was still in contact with her in Greenville, South Carolina. When I was there, I was talking to her on the phone, and and then I lost Jenna as a friend that day by trying to tell her what I went through. Jenna got hateful and turned against me. And Jenna was a narcissistic, control freak, fake friend, and was younger than me, and a fake hypocrite slut. And when I first met Jenna in person at the beach, I didn't realize she was purping with the red, and she was wearing red bikini at the beach, and talking about how great God made the beach to look so beautiful and stuff like that, but dressing like a skimpy slut. And so yeah, I lost Jenna as a friend, and Jenna probably was a perp trying to be my handler, and she was narcissistic and controlling, and so then my twin sister, basically, me and her got into an argument, and then I lost Jenna as a friend, trying to tell Jenna about what happened, trying to seek emotional support, and then so then so I think I did get a little bit of help getting enough funds for the round trip ticket for Blake's funeral, but I was the finances and the help was really tight. I barely had enough, and then got down there, family members acting weird, and then after, like, later on, after Blake's funeral, family members acting weird, and then some of them pretended to be fake nice just for the funeral, and was shooken up about Blake's death, but then went to acting like abusive, retarded assholes, after, but and then the family was gossiping about Blake in front of me, but acting like it's not what happened and how he died or whatever, like it's none of my business. Well, if you think it ain't my business, why are you discussing it around me? I'm family and have a right to know too. But they clearly excluded me, generations lower than me. Blake is my cousin, first cousin. He was the same generation as me. Same generation cousin. Monica and Raymond, they were lower generation. Those are my nieces and nephews. Blake and Raymond and Monica, like, they're not on the same. Monica and Raymond are not on the same generation level as me and Blake. But I'm on the same generation level as her Rebecca. But she's much younger. She was younger than Raymond and Monica. This family dynamic is pretty weird. I got two nephews older than me. Josh and John. So John did not go to the funeral. I think John doesn't go to funerals either. But I heard rumors that John blood sacrificed the biological sister Belinda. And certain people were blaming Wyatt for Belinda's death. They said Wyatt when Belinda loved Wyatt enough to take him to Milwaukee. Well, I'm glad I didn't go to Milwaukee, but when we were kids, you know. But but we supposedly never got to meet Belinda, but I only talked to her on the phone like 2 or 3 times. And Belinda was the older sister and took Wyatt in and took him away from the foster care and took Wyatt and left us. And then you know, as Wyatt got a certain age, you know, the biological nephew John's, I hate that name, baby mama, Riri, Aretha Strong, Riri, she was the one who told me that Wyatt was always verbally abusing Belinda and like lecturing and harassing her about her weight and calling her fat, and that was one of the reasons why Belinda was depressed all the time. And and that was the reason why Belinda got the tummy tuck, and as a result of the operation, she ended up dead. And they said Wyatt was the one who found her dead. And she was only 40 years old. Like, she died the day before Ramona's birthday. Her birthday was March 30th, 1963. Belinda Marie Galatas. Her name was Belinda Harvey before she got married, because the biological mom, Frances, her name was Frances Harvey, and then she married the biological dad, Arthur, and the biological dad, Arthur's name was Arthur Justine Grandpre, you know. But they put Pete on a birth certificate rather than Justine. I didn't know until Arthur died that his middle name was Justine, or his middle initial start with a J. You know. So they put Arthur Pete, which is our brother. And I heard that our brother Pete, they said, oh, Pete is just a nickname, because our brother, his name was Arthur Percy Grandpre. And they said Pete was a nickname, you know, a nickname for Percy. And there's zero resemblance between the biological dad, Arthur, and the biological brother, Pete. Like, no resemblance at all. If the biological dad, Arthur, was seen, you know, considered, you know, one of the light-skinned pretty Creoles with straight hair. But then you see Pete, and then people want to talk about, oh, that me and my twin sister and Sean, oh, that we don't belong to Arthur. But Pete was allowed to go around the biological dad, Arthur's side of the family, and see our Aunt Carolyn and visit her and be in contact with her and everything. You know. So anyway. But yeah. I know I strayed off topic, but it's still family talk though. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So when my twin sister wasn't in contact with any of the family, she was banned from the family being mad at her when she got Mark arrested in 2015, and then it was almost 2017. They were still grudging and still mad, and you know, but eventually Mark forgave my twin sister and got back on good terms with her. So because I said publicly that, yeah, my family gang stalked me, oh, I'm punished from the family forever and zero forgiveness. But they already hated me and were weird even then. And the family's sick and incestuous. So that's a good thing I ain't around y'all, and I'm glad to not be around y'all. Y'all, the family, they're incestuous and weird. Excuse me. You know. So, but so my twin sister, when I came back to Greenville, South Carolina, to that apartment after Blake's funeral, I only stayed in New Orleans like a couple of days, and then went back to Greenville, South Carolina, and then it was a Saturday afternoon after, because the funeral was a Thursday, excuse me, in December, like December 29th or something. And then that Saturday, I didn't realize it could have been New Year's Eve, but I was on the phone talking to her, and she tried to tell me, and it was some shit she made up. Because, I mean, for her to say that, if any other family members would have said that, and I know Sean wasn't in contact with any family, or maybe he was being abused and controlled by Pete, and trafficked by Pete. You know, it's like the way stories that Ramona was telling me, like Ramona was telling me stories like as if Pete was exploiting and sex trafficking Sean. And Pete was trying to turn me into a slut or a prostitute. And it didn't work, so yeah, I'm the damn troublemaker. Pete was the one that had been in prison for so many years. So it does sound like something Wyatt or Sean would say. But then Wyatt used to be two-faced, very two-faced. You know. So it sounded like something that Wyatt or Sean would have said. But then my twin sister's the type to talk like that. But she wasn't in contact with the family. And then she came back and said, well, you know, they had family members that were saying that you looked over Wyatt's casket and said that, oh, good, I'm glad he's dead, that Blake is dead or whatever. I'm like, I couldn't have got away with that, you know. And I was upset, you know, when she told me that, I was upset. And I was like, well, you know, the way the family, they will stay grudgeful against me, but they will forgive Blake's killer and have dinner with him. But they'll stay grudgeful against me for nothing. And she's like, oh, right. And, you know, we were talking more, and she was saying certain things, and resulted in me being upset later on after she told me, oh, the family said that Blake, you know, that the family said that, you know, she acted like she didn't want to tell me what family member, because she made that up. To lie and say that I looked over Blake's casket and said, oh, good, I'm glad he's dead. But then, you know, after that, and we were doing some more talking, and I was upset, and I said, well, this whole family, as wicked as they are, you know, if she didn't tell me what family members freaking said that, because it was her, you know, and I was upset, and I said, this whole family needs to go hop on this one big old bus and go right off a cliff. Fuck y'all. You know, I was upset, you know, and I was damn near suicidal, you know, wrestling whether or not I wanted to kill myself or not, and being harassed even more and abused even more and manipulated and played with even more, you know, that I had to deal with spiritual things being revealed to me, and dealing with narcissistic abuse, and then losing Blake, and then, you know, twice, like once in October, and then when Blake died, you know, both of those times, you know, when it was revealed to me about narcissistic abuse of October that year, and then hearing about Blake, both times I felt like as if I was wrestling with myself on whether or not I wanted to commit suicide or stay alive, and overate sweets and junk, you know, feeling extremely depressed, you know. And but like excuse me, it was October. I was it was September. I wasn't even really feeling depressed, and I just went to this candy store, and, you know, didn't realize I ate sampled and ate a little too much candy, and I don't eat candy as much no more like I used to. It was like a nostalgic candy store. It's called Mass General Store in Greenville, South Carolina. And I was, trying out candy that I haven't had in years. And then, the next day or so, my hips were hurting so bad I couldn't walk. And then, it was so bad I had to call the ambulance. I think it was the next day or the day after. And the ambulance paramedics straight up told me, you have sciatica. And then they took me to the emergency room, and then they put me on certain medications for the sciatica pain. And I can't remember the name of it, but I know meclizine is for dizziness and vertigo, but I forgot the name of the sciatica medication. And then they switched me to, and that medication used to give me the shakes and make me feel like I was diabetic, but I wasn't. My blood sugars kept being normal. But then they put me on another medication called ondansetron. And I heard that that's a murder kind of medicine right there. Messed me up even more. But, excuse me. So, and that's one of the reasons why I don't mess with medication no more. But I was like battling after it being revealed to me about narcissistic abuse with Tracy Broadhurst and Lisa Ruby. I was struggling, and someone had at the farmer's market narcissistically lectured me about eating too much sugar. And with this medication that I was taking for the hip pain, if I ate anything sweet, it would make me feel like I was having diabetes symptoms. But then if I get blood tested, say that my blood sugars were normal. So, like one day, I did that a couple of times during my teenage years, but this time I ate like 5 pralines in one setting, feeling super depressed. And when I would be depressed on psych medications years ago, I used to like eat large amounts of like sweets and junk food, feeling so depressed, And then, I was wrestling and debating on whether or not I wanted to stay alive or kill myself after it being revealed about narcissistic abuse. And they had they had a natural health supplement called Country Farm Super Greens, and that saved my life. I thought I was gonna die, and I took that Country Farm Super Greens supplement, and I like went to diarrhea for 3 hours and then felt back to normal. But I felt like I had Forrest Gump kind of physical energy. That so much physical energy I didn't know what to do with it. But then when reading about narcissistic abuse, when that other lady named Lisa with that blog, she told me about it. And then I think she turned into a perp after a while. But so that lady that told me about Lisa Ruby and Tracy Broadhurst being narcissistic abusers and stuff. And then when I started to read up about narcissistic abuse, and then I felt ashamed because I'm like, wow, this is not what I do, but it's what people say about me. And then come to find out it's what narcissists use in projection on me. If people say, oh, you want the whole world to revolve around you, or you think the world revolves around you, or you think you're entitled. The stalkers themselves say that, but they're the ones who have the entitlement mentality towards me, But, so, I thought that I was the doggone narcissist, but people say, well, if you got to question whether or not you a narcissist, or if you reading up the symptoms and feeling a certain way, then no, you're not the narcissist. And then I was reading more and more about narcissistic abuse. And then later on went back down the rabbit hole of gang stalking and cults. Because, like, during that year, over the summer, I was researching a lot on gang stalking and wondering why my body was vibrating. And that was another reason why I was feeling the way I was feeling, too. Like, why my whole body was vibrating all the time and couldn't get answers. And everything, like, every time I research about why is my body vibrating, this subject would talk about gang stalking and cults and the cooking of humanity and all that. And it just wasn't registering or wasn't clicking. I saw a bunch of videos about gang stalking. And then not realizing that gang stalking, narcissistic abuse, cults, direct energy weapons, mind control, MK Ultra, witchcraft, that they all go hand, and Satanism, they all go hand in hand. So, I mean, I was borderline suicidal about Blake's death and funeral too. And then to be perped and harassed and mocked and made fun of when you're grieving a freaking and fucked with while you're grieving a family member. Excuse me. So, but last year I didn't feel suicidal about Wyatt. But I felt like it was difficult, like people, even family and non-family, treating me like I had no right to be part of the family, that I had no right to grieve. And the fact that the family was not only threatening me, but trying to kill me. So, hold on, wait, I'm checking the time. So I guess I'll talk for 20 to, I guess I'll get off here at, I don't know if I'll talk for 20 more minutes or a little longer, but, but, so, I wanted to pay my respects, and people in my live stream were suggesting that I do the right thing and go by the family and go pay respects to my brother. And I'm like, well, I'm afraid that, they don't want me around. But everything turned out to be worse than I expected. I even prayed before leaving. Excuse me, prayed before getting in the Uber to go across the river and go over there. And I didn't know that the whole family was mad at me. And the fake aggressive Defiance TV perp and the cult over there, they were being extra messy and saying that, oh, your brother Pete said he didn't want you at the funeral. Well, Pete didn't even go to the funeral. So how could Pete say something like that? Come to find out it was Mark. Or they were saying, oh, Derek said he wanted to fight you. And they were bragging about, oh, we put a hex on you that if you go to the funeral, this will happen. And I thought it was just internet strangers just being messy. Excuse me. And so they try to say that, oh, if you go to, the family said that if you go to the funeral, then they're going to put you in a mental ward. They're daring you to go to the funeral so they could put you in a mental ward and stuff like that. And they were bragging about doing satanic rituals. And remember, the few days, before our birthday, my twin sister tried to love bomb and butter me up. And then other stalkers were threatening me all week, threatening to throw me in a river. I almost didn't get help for me and my twin sister's birthday, but I spent time in the hotel that day at Sleep Inn in Metairie, where I'm now wrongfully banned from. And then it was a fake Uber driver, Uber Eats or DoorDash, that when I got my delivery order, that was the third time for birthday that perps illegally planted me with bed bugs. you know. So one of those DoorDash orders where I thought, well, I just stayed in the hotel room. I didn't take advantage of any birthday freebies that day. I just stayed in the hotel and just wanted to rest and have peace and quiet. And then grieving and mourning my brother. And then, the morning of our birthday, that Sunday last year, perps were trying to tell me that, your brother Wyatt's death is a hoax and this and that. Like, so wait a minute, he's not dead? I'm just hearing all kinds of stuff, And I still can't believe he's gone. And don't have a right to grieve or mourn, and don't have a right to know how he died or how he lost his life. I grew up with Wyatt, but the family cult and gang stalking, Wyatt used to hate us, me and my twin sister, when we were little. But then, after 8th grade, he started to act like he loved and cared about us, But, right before Hurricane Katrina, when he came back to New Orleans, I think he came back in 2004. Late 2004, early 2005, he came back to New Orleans. And Wyatt used to act narcissistic and controlling too, or narcissistic lectures, or if you get into an argument with him, he would harass and stuff, just like what the perps do. Or mock and make fun of you, spread lies about you, think everything is funny. People who would support, nobody's perfect, but people who seem the most normal and most perfect, he had ways to laugh at and mock and make fun of every damn body, Like, how did you find ways to make fun of this person or laugh at that person, Excuse me. So, but I never thought that, I wish Wyatt was dead, And y'all have not heard me say that, good, I'm glad he's dead. Y'all haven't heard me say that. But yeah, my twin sister in that live stream, she tried to justify blood sacrifice to him by trying to make it like it was revenge. Because, she tried to make it like he was the one who set her up to get the kids taken away. But then there was a point in time she was lying and saying that I was the one who set her up to, they causing me hiccups. They were lying on me and saying that, she was lying on me and saying that I was the one who set her up to get the kids taken away. How? And we weren't really in contact, and we were in different cities and states, and she would try to hide her location from me. My twin sister's giving birth to McKeithen, the third child, and she begged for me to come to the hospital. Come down to Virginia. I was homeless and dealing with so-called mental health crisis, just got out of mental hospital. And she sent for me to come down to Richmond, Virginia by her all the way from New York. And then on my way going down to Texas, it seemed like the certain family members manipulated for me to go down to Denton, Texas, just so they could have easy access to exploiting and using and taking advantage of my money. Mark. And then, my twin sister sent for me to go, to Richmond, Virginia by her, and she was about to snap, crackle, pop with McKeithen. And Ivan was like a year old, and she was flaunting Ivan's appearance in my face. And then she snuck behind my back and lied to Wyatt and other family members. Wyatt said, keep in mind, Ivan was a year old, and my twin sister lied to family members. Wyatt was the only one who told me, and of course she swore up and down and lied and said she never said that. that Wyatt told her that my twin sister, Wyatt told me that my twin sister kicked me out of the house because she tried to lie and say that I looked at 1-year-old Ivan at the time. She lied on me and said that I looked at Ivan like I wanted to perform oral sex on him. But she was the one who kept on saying, "Oh, look at Ivan's pretty hair. Look at his pretty skin. Look at his pretty face. Look at his pretty this. Look at his pretty that." You know. And that was the second time she deliberately hid Raven from me. You know, that she said Raven was asleep and she hid Raven from me, you know. But then, she hid McKeithen from any pictures or anything until after he was a year old, and I finally saw pictures of him on MySpace. And then I hadn't even met or seen McKeithen yet, and my twin sister, she lied on me and said that I molested all 3 of her kids. And she always pretended to be fake persecuted and made it like this person and that person were out to harm her kids and do stuff to her kids when she was probably doing rituals on her kids. And she was bullying me and using and taking advantage of my money throughout the years, when she always had more than me. Other family members, Mark stayed with a freaking car. Well, after Katrina. But always taking my little money that I had. Always taking my money. Stealing from me. Bullying me. Using and taking advantage. Pete stealing my money. Ramona stealing my fucking money. Bullying, using and taking advantage. Wyatt too. Sean tried. The biological mom Frances tried. So, excuse me. But, yeah, so like when I went to the Airbnb, you know, I was scared to go. And I went, you know, not realizing I didn't even have the thought of any trouble. Like, when my twin sister posted so many videos about the family and everything, and I knew she was saying stuff to put stuff in Derek's head by bragging like, "Oh, Candy's banned from this hotel, Candy's banned from here," and then mocking and laughing. And I'm like, wait a minute, how can I be banned from a hotel that's freaking abandoned? The abandoned Canal Street, this hotel that's abandoned, that was by Canal and Claiborne. She was pointing and laughing, talking about, "Okay, that's one of the hotels Candy's banned from," and you know, putting stuff in Derek and his wife and other family members' head and stuff. And then, you know, I didn't even realize that the family really did have it out for me, you know. And I thought that I would squash the differences, that me and my twin sister could settle our differences or squash the differences, that we could hug and make a truce, and, you know, for other family members to, you know, be excited to see me, and that we all, you know, grieving more and Wyatt together, and then for me to just, I guess, go back to the hotel or suffer on the streets later on. But they created so many lies. You know, created so many lies. You know, lying on me and saying that I was trying to go, like, I didn't even know any of the plans, family plans or nothing. I didn't know about family members paying for the Airbnb or paying Monica out of their own money or none of that, you know. And then lied on me and said that I was trying to steal free nights and try to freeload and steal free nights of that Airbnb. And it's like, I didn't even go there for that. I thought I was just gonna be there for like an hour or two, and, you know, mourn Wyatt together. I even had that plush doll, and the short story that I wrote in honor of Wyatt and everything. Excuse me, And for Blake, I tried to give the family members gifts at the funeral and repast. Family members ignored me and left the gifts on the back burner. But Yvonne, the $20 that I gave, she took that $20, but left the other family members. They left the other other gifts and stuff behind, like on purpose, and they were acting a certain kind of just weird, and even Derek was acting a little weird. And for Daryl's funeral in 2018, Derek was acting very fucking weird and mean for no fucking reason at all towards me, but nice and normal towards every other family members. I haven't done Derek shit. And it was 2016 or 17. I think it could have been 2017. I was still in Greenville, South Carolina, and Wyatt was trying to tell me that Derek was sorry for, and that he wanted to reach out to me and make a truce, and wanted to get along as sister and brother, and that he was sorry for, hating me and treating me so bad for so many years, Excuse me, but at one point, Wyatt was called me up saying that Derek wanted to kick my ass, and I'm like, for what? And then he said that Derek got the wrong twin mixed up, and that it was my twin sister that he wanted to fight. I mean, it's like the family is so strange that the brother, the male sibling, the brother would beat the female, physically abuse and beat the female sibling like a street. I can't say that in word, but But how do you do that to your own sister? But then they got black families with brothers straight out murdering and killing their own sisters. Or kill the whole damn family. But the family have zero intentions on bettering themselves or bringing the family back together and settle the differences, talk it out, make a truce, straighten out any misunderstandings, and learn to love each other and get along better and forgive. Oh, they don't want that. They're so busy with doing evil and proud of it. So I intended to go to the Airbnb to try to honor Wyatt's death and make a truce with the family and try to bond with the family and stuff. I had no idea that certain family members, like the biological nephew Raymond's son, I didn't realize that was him. He was a teenager, and I didn't realize that was my great nephew that answered the door. And then try to lie and say that none of my family was there. And first they were ignoring the door, and I'm like, oh, please don't tell me I made a blank trip over here, that nobody's home. At the Airbnb, and I didn't go there with any malicious intent for any trouble or nothing. And maybe they put him up and told him, oh, that's Candy or whatever, and they put stuff in his head and make him act a certain kind of weird. And then but my twin sister was experiencing threats and harassment too. And then dang. So then, and then, my biological great nephew, Ramona's grandson, not Lil Randy, but Raymond's son. I think they said his name Raymond or something. And he answered the door and tried to lie and say that the family didn't live here, but it was a dead giveaway because like when I saw one picture of when he was a little boy and he looked just like his mom, Robin, but then as an older teenager or whatever, oh yeah, he looked just like Raymond, but Robin's complexion but looked just like Raymond. I'm like, oh yeah, like yeah, you look just like Raymond, so I ain't stupid, you know. So you know, he looked and talked just like his dad, my nephew Raymond. So then next thing you know, Derek's wife, or illegal husband, shall I say, Kateria, whatever fucking name is, acting like as if she was about to burst into tears and had this psychopathic murder kind of hate anger towards me. She even threatened to kill me and trying to narcissistically lecture and handle up on me about stuff that's not her business, and she don't even know the truth or know all the facts. Because as I said, if the tables were turned, if the tables were turned and she was accused of saying something about her brother or falsely accused of doing weird stuff, I wouldn't have that same right to get mad at her and ban her from her own brother's funeral. So what make her think she could do it to me and bully me and make sure I don't get to go to the funeral and try to instill fear, taking and breaking my phone and stuff. So when she tried to bully me and instill fear, and I'm like, who are you? And I didn't know who she was. And she's like, don't worry about who I am. And making facial expressions like a straight up psychopath. You know, she admitted that she'd been stalking and watching me throughout the years. Stalking and watching all my social media all throughout the years. My twin sister feeding the family lies behind my back. You know, and the family throughout the years used to swirl around behind her back and talk about how much they, especially Mark, they used to always talk about how they hated her and couldn't stand her. Two-faced. Mark, why don't you tell Kateria to her face how much you can't stand her? Because Mark, you a fucking coward. And you abusive. Been abusive. Abusive and controlling a lot of the family members and manipulative. Mark, you're not fucking God. And you're not the law. You ain't the fucking police. So, Kateria tried to bully me and demand an apology and falsely accusing me of doing and saying stuff that I didn't do. And then my twin sister surprised me and caught me off guard and put on a fake tough act and told me, bitch, what the fuck you said? Bitch, what the fuck you said? Bitch, I'ma kill you. She said, bitch, what the fuck you said? Bitch, what the fuck you said? Bitch, I'ma kill you. Oh, she said, bitch, what the fuck you said about my kids? What the fuck you said about my kids? Bitch, I'ma kill you. And then Monica was holding her back. You know. And it's like, you know, I didn't even get to meet newer family members that I never got to meet. The 6-year-old kids, like, terrified and scared and crying from what they saw. I was traumatized. And so after my twin sister, she wasn't going to do shit but pretending to put on a fake act and acting tough and showing off. You know, and then Mark came and stepped outside. And Ramona, I don't know if Ramona is suffering dementia or Alzheimer's or something, but she was not her normal self. Because the Ramona that would have been the younger Ramona, she would have came out and bust out and had something to say too. So with Ramona being very quiet and confused and out of it and stuff, I don't know what's going on. But if people are trying to make like Ramona making funeral decisions and stuff, well, if she got Alzheimer's or dementia, how would she be able to make funeral decisions and stuff? Or say, well, we didn't want this or we didn't want that. Or people online, they're being messy and just lying. So when Mark came and bust outside and yelled at me and falsely accused me of putting strange stuff on the internet on the family obituaries, and that was people from the fake aggressive defiance TV cult. They did that, and my twin sister lied and left them to, and I wasn't even on good terms or friendly with the fake aggressive defiance TV perp. It was like in July when he couldn't try to make a fool out of me with that fake interview with, wanting to perp and narcissistically abuse me and stuff. And when I wouldn't let him do it, him and the fake cult flying monkeys, they started to attack me, and I had to block each and every one of them. And then they stopped coming on my platform, stopped coming in my live streams and stuff. That was way back July of last year, before August. And then I didn't even know about, and I didn't know who Chance Wilkins was. And the people from the fake aggressive defiance TV cult putting pictures putting pictures of Chance Wilkins on Wyatt's obituary. And then Mark falsely accused me of putting those pictures up and falsely accusing me of being an internet troll. And I tried to defend my innocence and explain myself. And Mark threatened to call the police on me. Then, right when he said that, 30 seconds later, NOPD passing by the house. And then I whipped up my phone and tried to film and record the police officer driving by. And then Derek's wife walked up to me and said, "You do not have permission." I wasn't trying to film and record her at first, but she was like, "You do not have permission to record me. You do not have permission to record me." And then she wrestled the phone out my hand and threw and broke my phone. And they had just had the hurricane, and my twin sister was faking and like rubbing it in my face how she can get along with the family and doing fake videos talking about, "Oh, this is the side of the family that Candy don't tell y'all about." When she ain't really been close to the family, but they were just all huddling together, doing satanic rituals, putting on a fake act like they're close. You think my twin sister been consistent with talking to Derek or Canteria on the phone, or Mark, or any of them? She ain't been in contact with them ever since after that incident and been consistent with talking to them. I know she hasn't. Or she gonna wait till around this time to huddle up with them again. And then for Derek to say stuff like, "Don't nobody care about you being homeless," when I was begging and pleading with the fake wife to not throw and break my phone. And that was my brand new phone, my favorite phone. And I just got that phone. Just got that phone. And then had to turn around and buy a new one. And I had to pay full price for it. And got perped and abused with the next phone. With this phone right here was the phone that I had to buy. The phone that I had to buy after Derek's wife broke my other phone. And then this was the phone. And then the cops, both arrests and being illegally swatted, they both broke this phone. Throwing and breaking my phone. But Kateria had huddled and got me up and started threatening me and talking about that we're in a neighborhood full of white people. And she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna put you away from the cameras. Oh, you're lucky that they got so many cameras around here and all these white people around here being nosy. Otherwise I would kill you and I would do X, Y, to Z to you and I would do this to you and do that to you." And and then people were trying to kill me and make death threats at me. They got me wrongfully banned from that in like Econology in Gretna. Nobody wanted to help me for like 2 hours in a category 2 hurricane. I'm like, they're gonna sit there and let me fucking die and then harass me, tell me go to a shelter. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm wrongfully banned from the shelters due to this gang stalking. And then my twin sister mocking and laughing at my suffering, and the cult members being messy and being laughing and being like, ha ha ha, Brandy, you know your twin sister is out there, begging for money and to get out the hurricane. And my twin sister didn't need money, but she was begging for money that week. She was begging for money and her cult had donated her money for the Airbnb, to stay at the Airbnb, and saying that she needed money. And then they got caught in the hurricane, and Wyatt's funeral was supposed to be on his birthday. Who the fuck thought some sick thing like that? They say that Ramona made that arrangement or that decision to have Wyatt's funeral to be on his own birthday. But then later on it ended up being what? Friday the 13th. Excuse me. And then my twin sister was perping hard and mocking me, using Aaliyah's song Miss You, perping me with Aaliyah. So, and then the family, it's like they were all perping hard and mocking and making fun of me, perping with Masonic fake red hair. It's like, well, what the hell? Monica, Rebecca, Drunk Lady Yvonne, even Derek's son was 14, Derek Jr., 14 years old at the time, perping with red shorts. Like, wow, all y'all so fucking satanic. And then my twin sister rubbing in my face about how Rebecca was excited Rebecca was excited to see her and everything. Fake slutty whore Rebecca. And then for later on, I saw social media of Rebecca like using devil horns emojis at every chance she get. And I'm like, it really hit me like, wow, my family really is, they all freaking turned satanic. Whatever happened to y'all being so church going? With the family being satanic and Masonic now. That's why they illegally rich, living a high life, always got cars. Like, and I know if Derek were to have his kids and wife stripped from him to be isolated, can't get a job, being hit with torture with directed energy weapons, none of the other family members could fucking handle. Derek is already what people would call a hotheaded, a hothead or hot-headed, quick temper, So imagine for him to go through what I got to go through with being gang stalked and tortured and trafficked. He wouldn't be able to handle that. Mark wouldn't be able to handle it. Ramona wouldn't. They would lose their freaking minds. My twin sister herself is, it seemed like she playing both sides. And then, the day, I think it was, I was already at that motel. It was the day after getting wrongfully kicked out of and banned and assaulted at the Econology. And then I went to the motel next door. And then the motel, the next day, they did a dream manipulation nightmare about me being at Wyatt's funeral and mocking me, and it was like about a week or two, I had another bad dream about being mocked with Wyatt's funeral or Wyatt's death. And my twin sister is not freaking out or upset about when she posted up the picture of Wyatt laying in the casket, and then perps mocking and making fun and altering the picture and circulating and spreading the picture of Wyatt laying in the casket. And I'm supposed to feel like I'm the troublemaker or the one who just did something wrong. And then people talking about that the family had every right to ban me from the funeral. I'm like, even based on lies, they say, yeah, they could do whatever they want. What if the tables were turned? What if I banned them from the funeral? And I could never get that back. It was worse than my experience with the biological mom Frances' death and funeral. And I hate that every black family, why it's always got to be some doggone what they call drama or some fighting going on? Why can't we have a peaceful, loving doggone paying respects? I've heard of, family members, even other family members fighting at family or fighting and feuding at family funerals. And Derek being younger than me, what authority did he have? And then the fake wife is not even related and bragging about how she been in the family 10 years. Well, if your son was 14 at the time, and you're talking about, oh yeah, I've been part of this family for 10 years. At the time, I've been part of this family for 41 years. I share the same DNA with them. You don't. Wyatt is my brother, not yours. You shouldn't have had the authority or the right to stick your nose in and have a say-so, because I could not do that. If you had a brother that died, I could not ban you from your brother's funeral. I could not bully you. I could not break and throw your phone. I couldn't make death threats to kill you. I couldn't brag about stalking and spying on you. I don't know fucking shit about you. You claim to be family. I don't even know how old you are. I don't know your birthday. All I know is you're married to my brother and you're a straight up psychopath. And you're a bully. And you got like 6 fucking kids. I don't know how many fucking kids you got. That's all I know about you. I don't know what job you work at, what company you work for. But Derek and the 6 doggone kids and the wife, they living good. They ain't got to worry about suffering and starving. But I'm so greedy that the fact that I'm struggling, most likely gonna be on the streets tonight and deal with being stalked and harassed and perped. I possibly might have to be on the streets tonight. If not tonight, then tomorrow night. But I'm glad to get to break my silence and vent. And I know this is like one of the longest videos I did in a long time, but I needed to let it out. 1 more week until the death anniversary, and then 8 days until our birthday. And family members dying on family members' birthday, like what the hell? And fake Damnesia was threatening to have me to die in a plane crash like Aaliyah on our birthday of this year. On August 25th. Because yeah, I'll be flying like on the way to come back here. But the stalkers threatening to sabotage that trip. I don't know what they have planned out, because the abuse is always the worst on or around me and my twin sister's birthday. It was a Friday, our birthday, August 25th, 2022. 9 days before. Wait, yeah, was it 9 days before that, or was it 3 days? It was 3 days before that. I had a bad gang stalking incident, and they were trying to set me up. And I experienced severe abuse. And then on our birthday, I lost my phone, and then it got damaged. I had to get a new one. And also, I was being gang stalked and perped hard by the fake Jehovah's Witness cult members. They love to perp me on me and my twin sister's birthday. And then also, a vehicle tried to strike me on purpose in the rain on me and my twin sister's birthday. I was homeless on the streets, no hotel, walking to the library. But I eventually got a hotel later that night, But still, and was abused by the Uber driver. Perped by the Uber driver. They made sure to try to ruin my doggone day. And to have no phone and, I was frustrated that day. And it rained for our 38th birthday. Stalkers made it a point to ruin that day. I'm forbidden and not allowed to celebrate, but they applaud my twin sister and encourage her. Oh, it's good that you were able to eat out, Brandy. But when it come to me, oh, oh, Candy, you know, she's sitting here being greedy and stuffing her face on the live stream. She's doing this, she's doing that, you know. And I don't even think I will get to live stream this year. This coming Monday for our birthday, I will try to see if I can live stream. But I'm disappointed that I cannot get the novel completed. No way can I do this in 8 days. No way. I can't. So I don't have a projected date, but I'm still trying, still working. But I'm glad to have accomplished 5,000 words. You know, over 5,000 words. But I'm gonna keep pushing. You know, they're trying to destroy me and trying to break me, but I'm gonna try to keep pushing. You know. But, you know, they got their threats, they got their harassment. I don't know what police setups they might try this week or between this week and next week, or what murder setups or attempts. Oh, I think I just heard thunder. But, so as I was trying to say, sorry that this video is almost 3 hours long, but I got to get going now. I got to use the bathroom and take a shower and pack up and leave. But I'm gonna say that you know, if I get the deposit back, if I get the deposit back or the incidental money back before 5 p.m., then I'm gonna try to go to another hotel and have just enough money for that. But if I don't get the deposit back, then I would have to be on the streets and just get to eat good. I mean, just eat the, like, whatever $12 dinner or whatever, you know. But if I do get the money back, I would just have enough money for hotel, but won't have anything for dinner. But I love y'all. Thanks for listening to me vent. And I finally got to get it out. And I'm gonna talk to y'all later on in a couple of hours.